So what's your perspective on having controversial guests on the podcast? Are there certain people that you would deny to come on the podcast, even if they have a bunch of influence because they're too controversial?
Like
who would be a controversial person to have on?
I mean, obviously we had Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't think you could get more controversial than Trump or Tate.
Yeah.
And those
Tate wasn't so controversial at the time. Well, the second time, but that never uploaded on YouTube, which was the weirdest thing. Got a strike, actually, strike and a removal on the channel the day we were uploading part 2, which was like maybe a blessing in disguise. But
so I think when it comes to Jack and I, we're a bit on a spectrum when it comes to who we want on the podcast. Jack is eager to take more risk with guests, and I'm probably too safe and conservative. Like, I want the guests who like I really look up to, who I admire, who I'm really interested in. And Jack's a little bit more of like the, you know what, we should expand and get people maybe who are a little bit edgier, people that not everybody likes.
I think I'm too eager and he's too conservative.
Like, so who's someone Jack would want that you wouldn't want?
I wanted on Andrew Tate. And we were DMing him, we had like a back and forth. He was down to come on. Graham said, no, it's a little too sketchy right now. And then so much stuff happened, right? Like he got arrested for a little bit, and Graham's like, I told you so, it would have been a bad idea. Then he got released from that, or investigated for, the thing. And then I was like, I told you, and it's the back and forth with that. That was one of them. Who else have we discussed?
There's been a few other people that I've just felt like, they just seem a little sleazy to me.
Anyone you want to name or no?
No.
Yeah.
But
Sneeko, I was really down for a while.
Yeah.
Graham was a little opposed to it, but not super opposed to it. And then after exploring that more and discussing it more, Graham is now kind of like, he's like, okay, maybe that could be an interesting episode. My perspective is, if somebody has like a bunch of fans, they're obviously saying something that people want to hear, right? And I like to be the type where I can hear out any perspective, no matter how extreme it is, because how do I know I'm right? How do I know my perspective is right without contending it with something else, other perspectives? And I definitely think I'm too eager to the point where I could have on people that would be damaging to our reputation. In the same way Graham is probably too conservative, where it's hard to branch out into different niches when we just continue to do similar things on the podcast.
yeah, I would agree with that.
I think the one value Tate would have brought to you guys would be views. But outside of that, I think you guys like attract a lot different of people. You know what I mean? Like your brand is a little bit different than bringing on Andrew Tate, in my opinion. Just kind of like knowing your guys' brand and seeing what you guys have done.
We definitely do have a certain type of brand on the Iced Coffee Hour. It's most of the time, it's like business-minded people, entrepreneurs that have like made huge businesses and stuff like that. We don't really talk about, we've never discussed politics. We've never discussed like social norms and experiments and activities and stuff like that with like people like Sneeko or something like that discuss things.
I don't know
like
much about Sneeko, honestly.
He's similar to, I mean, he's very similar to Tate.
Yeah,
just like
that's what I hear. I've never seen a bit of his content. We met him. He came to Salim's birthday, but I met him in person. I don't know anything about his brand.
So what do you think about potentially branching out and exploring more diverse topics on the podcast?
Yeah, like I'll tell you, my goal by the end of this year is to hit 1 million subscribers. And I'm like, we're gonna do that. And Jack was saying, well, if you wanna do that, we have to take a more broad approach and get on more controversial guests. I'm open to it. But I feel like we could also do that in a way that we're spreading messages that we don't have to like rebuke. Like we don't have to come on and like necessarily try to, pitch a different side to our guests or try to like, I don't wanna say attack, but like really disagree with them, if that makes sense.
Yeah, like if I was your guys' partner, I would say, I don't even think you need to go that route. I think when I think of you guys and what you guys have done is the controversy gets views, no doubt, right? Tate, Trump, probably Sneeko. I haven't seen his content, but sounds like he does. But also like, I think what the world really needs and what your audience needs, and one of my favorite things that happens with the Full Send podcasts at times is becoming educational to that young entrepreneur. Like people listen to you guys, and this is why I wanted to do this. When I wanted to do this, it wasn't necessarily to talk on my relationship with Bieber and Mayweather and NELK. It was to talk about how I started the business, what it took. You know what I mean? Me not being afraid to just drop out with 2 weeks left to start my own business. Obviously my mom didn't like that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but now it's proven to my mom, like, maybe that was the right move. And I think that's what the world needs right now more than anything is like young entrepreneurs like us to come out and educate someone to start a business, whether it's starting a business, a traditional business like what I did, or getting into the Web3 space, the NFT space, which is very, very early and people are learning, becoming a YouTuber. Talked about this once when I was on Impulsive, and then obviously I got busy with Happy Dad, but I still want to do it. Like one of my dreams is to write a book on how to start a business on YouTube. And, you became a creator, but now what? You're going to be dependent on ads and advertisers, or you're going to build one of these products. Because I think that's the best thing. That's what every YouTuber should do. You guys. Mr. Beast is doing it, obviously. Logan's doing it, obviously. NELK is doing it. Even Bradley Martin's doing it with Raw Gear and Zoo Culture. But like educating people that, like letting people know, like this is, I've heard this a few times. I have a lot of friends who have kids and, from age 8 to like 12. The number one thing kids say right now in school is, I want to become a YouTuber when I grow up. When I was in school, it was like, I want to be a policeman. I want to be a doctor. I want to be a fireman. It's none of that anymore. It's, I want to be a YouTuber when I grow up. Okay, well, what does that mean? You're going to get views. You're going to get subscribers. How are you going to make real money? And I think that's what the world really needs more than anything right now. Doesn't sound sexy. It doesn't sound like it's going to get 10 million views an episode. But I think at long-term rise, it gives you that credibility. And I think that's what really, guys like Mark Cuban had a blog called Blog Maverick. He uploaded once or twice a week just by sharing business ideas. And those are like a lot of the things in the early 2000s when I was doing my DirecTV business that I would, read and learn. And I think we need more people like that, like what Mark Cuban did for me when I was younger.